Okay, guys. Just the first one, was it? That's the second one. Oh yeah, sorry, yeah. First one's here, okay. So this 2013 fifth year Christmas exam. The following shows the length of time for which 120 people have been unemployed. Write down the modal class. Modal class is the most common class. Most common class is 6 to 8. It doesn't ask for the number, it asks for the class. You get 0 or 5 marks for that. Are the data discrete or continuous? Now, this question, one person was specific enough to get it full marks for it, alright? Number of people is discrete. Number of people is discrete. However, time in months, it's time. You can be 1.5 months, you can be 1 point, you can be 1.6 months. Months is continuous, so time is continuous. So time in months is continuous. Okay, so that's why you get 3 out of 5 as opposed to 5 out of 5. Now, calculate the mean time and standard deviation correct to one decimal place using mid-interval values. Now remember what mid-interval values are. Mid-interval values are the middle value. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Now a lot of you did it out, which is okay, but personally I just think if I just write down the mid-interval values, okay, I'm just going to go in here now, I'm just going to write down modes, go to stat modes, go to one variable, frequency is already there, so I'm going 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Now all I got to do is write down the numbers. So how many people got 1? Anybody? 14. 17. 24. 36. 18. And 11. Once I have that done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go shift, stat, variable, which is 4, and then go mean. Mean is 6. And then I'm going to go for the standard deviation. Variable standard deviation being number 3. 6 and what's it, 2.89? Or 2.9 when you round up. So mean equals 6. So and standard deviation equals 2.9. Now, hence estimate the number of people who've been unemployed for a time which is in one standard deviation of the mean time. Now, I've actually showed you, I gave marks for the maximum and minimum and attempt marks for in between. Okay, so what you could argue is that you're going to get a standard deviation, mean minus standard deviation. It's going to be 6 minus 2.9, which is 3.1. And then the next one's going to be mean plus the standard deviation, which is going to be 6 plus 2.9, which is 8.9. How many people are in between 8.9 and 3.1? Okay? So what a lot of people did was they included, what a lot of people said was basically that these two here, and you add them together, you get 60. Okay, that's alright. Now, there's two assumptions that can be made. The assumption you're making there is that, see the 17 people that are in between 2 and 4. You're making the assumption that all of them are below 3.1. All of them, for all we know, could be above 3.1, couldn't they? So we could actually include the two of these as well. We could actually include the two of these and get a maximum value, which would be 17 plus 24 plus 36 plus 18, which would give you 95. So 95 is the maximum amount of people and 60 is the minimum. Realistically, the answer is going to be somewhere in between, isn't it? Now, there's a really, really accurate way of calculating this, and we've done it, and we're actually going to do it again in the next question. The really accurate way of doing it is this, okay? What you do is you look at 2 to 4 and you go, okay, 3.1, okay? 3.1 is, there's basically 2 units between 2 and 4, isn't there? If I was to draw 2 to 4, you're talking about 2, it has a certain, we're looking for what fraction of them would be above 3.1. So if we do 3.1, it's basically 0.9 is above 3.1, isn't it? So that means, and the bottom was 2, wasn't it? It's meant to be 2 wide, so it's basically 0.9 divided by 2, because that's what we're taking it as basically as a histogram. Okay, you'll see it in the next question. So we're going to do 0.9 divided by 2 multiplied by how many people in total? 17, alright, so it's going to be 17. Your 24 and your 36 are still unaffected. And then we're going to look at the next one, which is basically 8 to 10. Okay? So we're saying 8 to 10. Now it stops at 8.9, right? So once again, it's going to be 8 to 10 is here, and we're going to do 8.9 is in here somewhere. So it's going to be 0.9 over 2 again. So it's going to be 0.9 over 2. Now this is just a more accurate way of doing it. Okay? It doesn't necessarily mean it's right, but it's considered a more accurate way of doing it, and that's going to be multiplied by, what's it? 18. And when you multiply them together, you'd get 75.75, 76 people. I will, however, say if you just wrote down 76 by pure luck without the workings, you still only get an attempt mark as opposed to the full mark. Okay? Yes, Rory. Okay. So what we're looking at here is the histogram, okay? Now it will once again go complete the following table. So this here is going to be 12. 12, what's it? 12, 18, 30 and 24. So that's 30 there, and that one is 24 when you go across. Okay, so most people got that. You usually get 5 marks for that. Now that that's done, it goes, it gives you the mean, and it gives you the standard deviation, which is perfect. Okay, Simon? And then it goes, mark on the histogram u minus 0, the mean minus 1 standard deviation, and the mean plus 1 standard deviation. Okay, so mean minus 1 standard deviation is going to be 8.4 minus 4, which is 4.4. And the other one's going to be 8.4 plus 4, which is 12.4. And then we're going to mark them on the graph, okay? So that's 5. And then you can see there that's 4.5. That'll give you 4.4 there. And then the other one is 12.4. So 4 small blocks will put you around here. 12.4. Okay, guys. Now, this is the exact same question we did last time, but it'll have a graphical to show you how to do it. Hence, estimate the number of people in the interval in between the mean minus the standard deviation and the mean plus the standard deviation. How many people are in between 4.4 and 12.4? So here's what we're going to do. 4.4 and 12.4. Well, we know there's 28 here. That can't change because there's that's grand. Okay, that can't change. Now I'm going to shade this here in black. This represents the portion that's between 4.4 and 8. Yeah. Now, how big is the base here? It's a base of 4. It's 4 wide. And I have 0.4 knocked off. So how much of the base is left from here to here? 3.6. So the fraction of the people you took with you is 3.6 divided by 4. And that gets multiplied by 12. Okay? This is going to be plus your 28. Which is here. Sorry. Oh, sorry, 28. 28. That one there, yeah?
Yeah, but if you're saying 12.
Sorry, it's 28. Just give me a sec. It's basically 90% of the 28 people.
Yeah.
And the middle one is... Oh, sorry. Just give me a second.
Yeah, isn't the first one, it's not fully...
Oh, sorry, neither one of them are full, are they?
No, the 28 is full. That's 30.
Oh, sorry, the 28 is full, you're right. Oh, this one is... Oh, that's 30. Sorry, my bad. You're right. Sorry, this is 30, and that one was 28. Yeah? So it's going to be 3.6 divided by 4, 28. That was the middle one, which was 30. Because they're close in size, they're easy to mix up. Okay? And then you go to the end here and you go, okay, that's 0.4 divided by 4. And it's multiplied by 24. So it's basically 10% of the 24. Okay? And then you multiply that out, and you should get 57.6 people, rounded up to 58 people. So 58 people. Once again, because this question in the pre-test I gave you specifically this method, I was quite hard on the marks if the correct method wasn't done. Okay? So that's just the way I went on that one. Alright guys, number 3. Can I move on? Okay. Number 3. Lads, an examination paper consists of 30 questions. 4 marks are given for each correct answer. 2 marks are deducted for each incorrect answer. Deducted being a key word there. Negative, minus, not adding. You're taking away. And 1 mark is given. Once again, you're adding for no answer. Sean had X answers correct, Y answers incorrect, and the remaining set of questions with no answer. The easiest equation to get is number of questions completed in the exam. You get X questions right, plus X questions wrong, plus the Z questions you didn't answer. The total amount of questions is 30. All the questions added together must be 30. That's the first equation. Equation A. Now equation B is going to be the marks equation. How do you calculate your marks? You multiply 4 by the number of questions you get correct. You take away 2 times, minus 2 times the amount of questions you get wrong. And then plus 1 times, because you're given 1 mark for the questions you don't answer, plus 1Z. And that will get you 54. Okay? Next one is part C, which is Eileen's test. This one is not talking about Eileen's mark. It's talking about the amount of questions Eileen completed. They did the same test. Even if she didn't answer it, she still did the same test. Therefore, it's 30. It has to be 30. Okay? Now you add them all together. X minus 1 plus Y minus 3 plus 2Z. Then what you're going to get here is you're going to get X plus Y plus 2Z. That's going to be minus 1 minus 3, which is minus 4. Take it over the other side, it comes plus 4. It's going to be plus 34. Okay? Then I can just rub that one out, and now I have my 3 equations. Okay? So, for the most part, you got 3 out of 5 for one of them, 4 out of 5 for 2 of them, and 5 out of 5 for 3. Unfortunately, if you didn't have one of them completely right, you didn't pick up anything. Right? That's just the way it works in past papers. Okay? Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to start these questions here. So I pick a letter to get rid of. I'm looking down the list and I'm thinking, do you know what, the Z's look pretty handy to get rid of. There is no set way of doing this. You can do it about 10 different ways and get it correct. So we're going to do, you can write down what you're doing. Like what I'm writing down here is I'm communicating that I'm doing A minus B. So wherever A is, take away whatever B is, okay? So what happens is this, there's A, and then I'm communicating that I'm multiplying minus B by minus 1. And then minus 54. And then I'm adding downwards and I'm going to get minus 3x plus 3y equals minus 24. Now what you can be aware of here is that you could divide by 3 if you wanted. I was going to leave it the same for the time being. You can do it either way. You can just divide by 3 now if you want. It's your call. It's all the same. Okay? Call that equation D. Label it D. Now D comes from A minus B. The next one we're going to do is we might as well do B minus 2C. So I'm going to do B minus 2 times C. So that means multiply equation C by minus 2. That's good. Oh, sorry. You're right, 26. Yeah, sorry. Oh wait, it's 24. So he's confusing me.
That's not 24.
Minus 54, 30 minus 54 is minus 24, divided by 3, minus 8.
No, but 24 is on.
What's
30 minus 54 is minus
24?
26.
Okay, now. Okay, so 2 times C is going to be 4x minus 2y plus 1z is B. Now we're going to take away C. I'm doing it differently than I did before, but that doesn't matter, okay? So I'm going to take away 2 times C, so I'm going to get 2x minus 2y.
Would you not take it? Would not be 2b?
Oh, it is 2b, that's why I'm doing it wrong. Okay, now 2b minus C. Because if you do it that way, it doesn't cancel, so that's right, 2b minus c, okay? Or, to be honest, c minus 2b is a better way of doing it, because that means you only have to change one of them, as opposed to changing both of them, okay? So write down c first. And then 2 minus 2b is going to be minus 8x plus 4y minus 2z minus 108. Okay, then bring it across. We're going to get minus 7x plus 5y. 34 minus 108. Good. Alright, minus 74. Okay, so now we have our 2 equations. What we're going to do next is we're going to multiply this one by I suppose multiply it by minus 7. So what we're going to get is plus 7x minus 7y. Minus 7 by minus 8 is plus 56. Remember, in this question, x, y and z, they all have to be positive numbers, because you can't add or answer a negative amount of questions. It doesn't make sense, okay? So minus 2y equals, what's that, minus 18? And then y equals 9, which is correct. So y equals 9. Substitute the 9 back up here. You're going to get minus x plus 9 equals minus 8. And then x is going to be, bring over the x and bring over the 8. X is going to be 9 plus 8. X equals 17. And then by the process of elimination, because you have 30 questions, z therefore must be equal to 4. Now, you're asked to get Eileen's score. Now, what you have to remember about Eileen is, a handy way of getting Eileen's score would be to rewrite. Eileen had x minus 1 questions right, yeah? We said x is 17, so it means she has 16 questions right. She has y minus 3, which is going to be 9 minus 3, which is 6 answers incorrect. And that leaves 8 questions unanswered. It's going to be 16 multiplied by 4 minus 6 times 2 plus 8 times 1. Put that into your calculator. Eileen scores 60 marks. Okay? I think one or two people got it. Maybe? One? Who was it? Carl? Good man, Carl. Now, question 4. Question 4 was show that x equals 2 is a root of the equation, find the other 2 roots. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is, when you get a cubic equation, okay, and see the way it's x cubed at the front, it usually breaks up into x and something in here, x and something in here, and x and something in here. Okay? Usually, for the most part, you'll get something like x plus 3, x minus 2, and something like x plus 6, okay? All of these numbers, this would mean that the roots are minus 3, 2 and minus 6. Do you see the way all of those roots are whole numbers, yeah? I know that my roots aren't whole numbers right away. And the reason why I know that is, it says, find the other 2 roots in the form, this form here. This means that they're decimals and they're surds. It means they're going to be using the minus b formula in this question somewhere along the way. Right, this question went for 20 marks. So what you need to remember is x equals 2. To show x equals 2 is a root, okay? You first say, okay, this is my equation. And if it is a root, when I replace all x's with 2, it should equal 0. And if it doesn't equal 0, it's not a root. Okay? 4 times 2 squared minus 11 times 2 minus 2. You put it all into the calculator and you get 0. Okay, hence it is a root. Now, some of you didn't do this, but you still picked up all the marks. Now, the reason why you picked up all the marks is if x equals 2 is a root, then x minus 2 is a factor. And if you divide it in equally, you're just after proving x minus 2 is a factor, and hence x equals 2 is a root. So that's what I gave marks for, just dividing it in and skipping that step completely. Okay. Now we're going to the factor rule. Factor term is basically, if I was told this is a root, I bring it over to your side, then I know this is a factor. It has to divide in equally into this here. Okay. X cubed plus 4x squared minus 11x minus 2. Let's divide in. X squared times, and you're going to get x cubed minus 2x squared. Take away, and then you add that one. You get 6x squared. Bring it down, minus 11x. And now you go, plus 3x. You multiply in, you get 6x squared. 3x by minus 2 is minus... yeah, I'm thinking that. Just give me a second. Yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right. Sorry, guys. Now, half the skill in maths, lads, is realising something's up. The minute I did that, alright, it wouldn't divide in. The next part wouldn't divide in equally. And the minute that happens to me in a test, and it happens to everybody, is you got to go looking for the mistake. You got to go back to the very beginning, just to quickly do in your head, and the lads found the right way. It's 6x. So 6x by that is 6x squared. 6x by minus 2 is minus 12x. Once again, change the sign. And only if you got the previous part right will the last part work out. And now this is going to be plus 1. Now, what does this mean? Okay? Now, you might have seen me do this before. 12 divided by 4 is 3. This 12 here is equal to these two numbers multiplied by each other. Yeah? And basically what this means is this big long equation here is basically equal to this one here multiplied by that one there. Now remember, this is just a bit of understanding, okay, because I know a few of you are looking for understanding as well. And basically, I have changed this here into the two of these multiplied by each other, the same thing. Now remember what we said, when you multiply two numbers by each other, either the first one is 0 or the second one is 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0, gives us the answer, x equals 2. The second number equals to 0 will give us the next two roots. So we put this number equal to 0. And when we do it, we're going to have to do it by the minus b formula because there's no other way of getting it. Okay, so it's going to be x squared plus 6x plus 1. Okay, a equals 1, b equals 6, c equals 1. Minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? And so what we get is minus 6 plus or minus, and please guys use the brackets. The brackets ensure you get the right answer. 4 times 1 times 1 all over 2 times 1. Now that we have that done, okay, what you're going to be doing is, I always recommend just doing this part first. Okay? It turns out to be root 32, and root 32 in your maths tables turns out to be, in your calculator, turns out to be 4 root 2, yeah? Thank you. No, 4 root 2 is correct. Okay, minus 6 plus or minus 4 root 2 all over 2. Now, in a test, I'm not going to make a mistake on this because I'm going to be tired in the test. I'm going to be rushing stuff. So what you need to be doing is you just need to just input it into the calculator and let the calculator do the majority of the work for you. Okay, divided by 2. Minus 3 plus 2 root 2. So it's minus 3 plus 2 root 2 or minus 3 minus 2 root 2. That's our answer, okay? So that's that one done. Okay. The next question is solve. Everybody did quite well at this one, to be fair. Everybody did really well at this one. Ln x squared minus 3 ln x plus 2. Okay? So what we're going to get is let y equal ln x. Now please remember that ln x means log to the base e x. Next thing, we're going to change it into, oh sorry, which one wasn't in the test? This one here, right? Yeah. Now do you see the way they're both beside each other? That means that one of them went into the pre-test and one of them went into the test, right? That's what happened. Okay? Now, we're going to get y squared minus 3y plus 2, okay, equals 0. And then what we're going to get here is solve that. We're going to get y minus 2, y minus 1 equals 0. Then what we got was y equals 2 and y equals 1. And then most people did this. You said log e to the x equals 2. Oh sorry, x to the base e. X to the base e equals 1. And then pretty much everybody, in fairness, remembered that it's e squared, and I was quite impressed with that. There was very few mistakes there, which means you actually do understand what logs mean. It was a good part of the test. Okay, is everybody happy enough with that? Yeah? How many people got that one right out of interest? So there it was, the majority of the class got that one, okay? Now, once again, I'm left at a, which one of these was on the test and which one wasn't?
5.
The 1 to 5s.
Yeah.
Now lads, you can see that the question that was beside that, pretty much the same deal, okay? Now, what we're going to get here is a change of base. Now, I gave you a hint about which do we turn the base into x or do we turn all the bases into 5? I told you that one of them is easier than the other one. 5. Never let x be the base if you can help it. Question. Doesn't matter. You can actually get it out both ways. I actually showed you how to get it out. But it's easier if you put the 5 to the bottom. So here's what we're going to do. Log 5 to the base x minus 1 equals, now there's a change of base formula. It's in your tables. That if you have log x5, it'll turn into 1 over log 5x. So it's going to be 6 times 1 over log 5x. It's still too difficult. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to say y equals log x to the base 5. Okay? Once we've done that, what we're going to get is y minus 1 equals, that's going to be 1 over y basically, so it's going to be 6 over y. Next thing we need to do is make sure everything has a y on the bottom. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, that's over y, change that to y squared. That one's going to be over y as well. Cancel off the y's, bring over the 6. And we're going to get y squared minus 1y minus 6 equals 0. Okay, once we have that done, what we're going to do next is we're going to say, okay, y minus 3, y plus 2 equals 0, y equals minus 2, y equals 3. Okay? Then we're going to replace y with log x to base 5 equals 3, log x to base 5 equals minus 2. How do I finish this off? 5 cubed and x equals 5 minus 2 is 125 and 1 over 25. How many people got that one now? Out of interest. Okay, only a couple. Okay, that was a difficult question. That'd actually be like that'd be a part B in the old Leaving Cert, so it would have went for maybe 10 to 15 marks as a part B. So it's actually a reasonable level difficulty question. Okay. Now, going to go over the next one, which is number 7.
Yeah, we just knew I was wrong.
Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to say you have an equation, okay? Now, which one of these was on the test again? Was it the top one or the bottom one? Top one. So the bottom one is the harder one, and the top one is what I would have considered when I done both of them was the easier one. Okay. In this case, I gave the easier of the 2 questions. Okay. So what happens was we're going to use the addition rule for logs. Everything has the same base, so there's no need to worry about anything. So what we can do here is we can say log 2. We're going to multiply 2 by x plus 1. We're going to get 2x plus 2, and that equals log 2y. Log 2 is the same on both sides. This means that 2x plus 2 must equal y, and that's the first part done. Okay, that's it. Okay, now the next part. Okay, shh, you go. The next part is we're once again going to do the multiplication rule, where we're adding them, but yet we multiply them. Log 2xy equals 2. Then we're going to bring up the 2, so xy equals 2 to the power of 2, xy equals 4. Okay, we have 2 equations, A and B. So what we're going to do next is we're going to replace all y's. Y is going to get replaced with 2x plus 2. So it's going to be x times 2x plus 2. Yeah, equals 4. Multiply out and bring the 4 over. 2x squared plus 2x, bring it over minus 4. You can do this 3 ways. You can do it the long reference number methods, you do the minus b formula, or you could divide by 2 and just make it easier again. Reference number here is now minus 2, and then we're going to have x minus x plus 2, x minus 1 equals 0. And then we're going to have x equals minus 2, x equals 1. Okay? You're not getting full marks there because I didn't do the y values yet. Which equation do you always use to get the y values back? The linear. Never the quadratic, the linear. Okay? So the linear get you is y equals, so the y value is going to be 2x plus 2. So wherever the x value is, so it's going to be y equals 2 times minus 2 plus 2. Y equals, oh yeah, forgot something, I'll be with you in a second on something else as well. And then the next one is 2 times 1 plus 2, y equals 4. Okay guys, question. Which one of these is not allowed?
Minus.
Can't have those 2, because you're not allowed negative logs. You can't have log of a minus number. It's impossible. Can anyone in the class explain why the log of a negative number is impossible? This one here, okay, x minus 1 to the power of a half. Now, x minus 1 to the power of minus a half. Okay, you got to remember what rules mean. Okay, so if I said 5 to the power of minus 3, it's the same thing as 1 over 5 to the power of 3. We did it earlier. This means that this one here is the same thing as 1 over x minus 1 to the power of a half. So it's going to be plus 1 over x minus 1 to the power of a half. On the bottom, it's the same thing. 1 over x minus 1 to the power of a half. Now, you can do this out, okay? Somebody in the class did a really smart way of doing this. Okay, I like it so much, so I'm going to steal it off them. Okay, y equals x minus 1. This makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? Because they're all x minus 1s. So you're going to do, sorry, y equals x minus 1 to the power of a half. Is that what you said? Yeah. X minus 1 power of a half. Now, excuse me. We're going to get y plus 1 over y divided by 1 over y. All of a sudden, a question that looked really difficult has now become a bit easier. So I'm going to show you, on top, what we're going to have is our three numbers, okay? So we're going to end up with y squared plus 1 all over y. Remember, when you're dividing by a fraction, you bring it up and you turn it upside down. Y over 1. Now what happens is, the y's will cancel, and you're left with y squared plus 1. Now remember that y is x, what's it, x minus 1 to the power of a half? So what we're going to have is x minus 1 to the power of a half squared plus 1. Now what's the power rule for this? If you had 3 to the power of a half to the power of 2, what's your answer? 3 to the power, multiply them. So what's a half by 2? 1. So the answer is the number to the power of 1. So what you're actually going to get is x minus 1 to the power of 1, which is x minus 1 plus 1. They cancel and the answer is x. Okay, you didn't need to do the substitution, but to be honest, it made it a lot easier. Okay? Sorry? No, x equals nothing. It's not a solve question, it's a simplify question. Simplify questions do not result in x equals anything. Only solve questions do. Okay? Next one, guys. Now this one here, I didn't give you one exactly like it, but I went, if anybody looked at the very end of my video, I had extra questions that weren't on the sheet, which I told you about. I gave you pretty much the hint on this one. Okay? Now, here we go, guys. What I'm first going to do is this. I'm going to change I'm going to look at a squared minus b squared to the power of 4. Before I do that, I'm going to show you something else, okay? Alright. 12 squared equals what? Can anybody tell me? 44, fair enough, okay? What I'm next going to do is I'm going to break up 12. Now this is for no reason at all other than to explain what I'm doing in the more difficult question. I'm going to break 12 up into 3 multiplied by 4, once again in a big bracket, squared. Now all of a sudden, when I square it in, it's going to be 3 squared multiplied by 4 squared. That in turn is 9 multiplied by 16. And 9 multiplied by 16 is still 144. So I'm going to use a similar method over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break this up. Now the reason why I know to break this up is, see this a plus b to the power of 5 business on the bottom? If I break this up, what I'm going to get is this. A minus b, a plus b, all to the power of 4. That's why I knew to do it. Because I'm going to get a plus b to the power of 4. And that will really cross off a lot of them. That's the only reason I'm doing it, okay? So I'm going to get here is a minus b to the power of 4, a plus b to the power of 4. Similar to that over there. Okay? So what's going to happen next is... we're going to replace that. We've replaced that with the blue part. Now we got this red part here that's looking pretty interesting, okay? You notice there's no a to the power of 4s, b to the power of 4s anywhere else here, is there? There's none on the bottom. So let's look at this, okay, and go, okay, a4 minus b4. I could change that into a squared squared minus b squared squared. Difference of 2 squares, yeah? And I'm going to get a squared plus b squared, a squared minus b squared. Now which one of these can break up further? Second one, okay? And then we're going to get a squared plus b squared, and then we're going to get in green here, it's going to be a plus b, a minus b, and that's your part there, okay? Now, that's it there, okay? And then all divided by a squared plus b squared, a plus b to the power of 5. Okay? Now look at this, alright? Let me see. Cancel. And then this a plus b to the power of 5. See the a plus b to the power of 4? It takes away all of them bar 1. It's basically x4 divided by x5. It's 1 over x1. Would you agree with that? Same thing. And look, this a plus b gets rid of the last one. Now I'm left with a minus b to the power of 4, a minus b. How many a minus b's is that multiplied by each other? 5 of them. It's basically it's like x4 by x1 gives you x5, okay? Alright lads, to my knowledge nobody got that one. It's a tough one, to be fair. Okay, next one. Okay lads, x minus p is a factor of x cubed plus q. Lads, why did I put in the 0x squared there? Ain't there in the first place, okay? Now, x minus p, lads, x minus p squared is a factor. If it's a factor, what does that mean? It should divide into it. Now the problem is it's in squared mode, and we've never divided anything that's like, we usually multiply it out and we have a quadratic to divide in. So we're going to get x squared minus 2px plus p squared. Okay? So we're going to have x squared minus 2px plus p squared all divided into this here. Okay? Now that we're going to divide this in, we're going to get we're going to get x cubed minus 2px squared. A major problem was people weren't lining up the x squareds and the x's together, and then on the next step you didn't group them together. That's our main problem. Okay, I'll tell you what I mean by that now in a second. P squared by x is p squared x. Okay, take them away, change everything that was a negative into a positive. Okay, so now we're going to get 2px squared. We're going to get, what is this, guys? What does this turn into?
X.
It's qx. Yeah, you're going to do an x bracket. You're right about that. So what do you get here? X bracket q minus p squared. I like to do q minus p squared x. I like keeping the x behind it, but it's a preference, okay, not a necessity. Now, next one is multiply by 2p plus 2p. What we're going to get here is 2px squared. 2p multiplied by minus 2p is minus 4p. 4p squared x. And then 2p multiplied by p squared is 2p cubed. Now, here's the difficult part. Okay? If you write this out longhand, what you're going to see is that takes away, that turns into a plus, that turns into a minus. So what we have is this. We have r minus 2p cubed equals 0. R therefore is 2p cubed. Okay? What's the next part then? The middle one, which is going to be in blue. We're going to have is, we can keep the x's in for a minute if you want. That's basically 0x by the way. So it's q minus p squared x plus 4p squared x equals 0x. What can I do with all the x's? Cancel. Okay? It's going to be q plus 3p squared, yeah? So it's going to be q plus 3p squared equals 0. Q equals minus 3p squared. Okay. Now, what does it want me to prove? It wants me to prove that 4q squared plus 27r squared equals 0. The key is which letter is missing? There's no P. Okay? Now, if there's no P, what that means is that you can get, which way does I do this again? I think you get P on its own. You get yeah. Two different ways of doing it, right? Yeah. Okay. What I can do is, to get rid of the P's, okay? If I had P equals P, and I had one P in terms of R, the other P in terms of Q, it'd actually turn out quite easy, wouldn't it? Now, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do it really, really rigidly here. That it'll be exactly. We're going to do it. I had a quick way of doing it, but it'd be hard to spot it. So I'm going to show you a really, really rigid way of doing this one. Okay, and we'll see if it works out. Yeah, sorry, I'm using the q equals minus 3p squared, right? Now, I'm looking at all of them here. I'm going, okay. So, what I could try is this. I could try saying that p cubed equals r over 2. P equals the cube root of r over 2. Is everybody happy with that? What about this one here? Now, I'm going to run into a problem here. You're going to see the problem I'm going to run into in a second, okay? If we do it this way. P squared equals q over minus 3. Yeah? And then P therefore is going to be the square root of q over minus 3. Right? Now, what's the problem with that? Sorry? Can't square the minus there, right? So, we'll see if that's a problem in a second, okay? If we don't know the value of q, do we? So, if q is a minus as well, then it works, okay? So, what we can now say is p equals p. So, we can say the square root of, the cube root of r over 2 equals the square root of q over minus 3. As it turns out, we're going to have to do my trick anyway. So this is going to be r over 2. What's another way of writing the cube root, lads? Does anybody remember? What's another way of writing it? In a power mode. To the power of a third. And this one to the power of a half. Now, what gets rid of both of these? If I do both sides to the power of 6, what will happen? It'll get rid of the 3 and it'll get rid of the 2. Okay, so let's see what happens here. So we're going to have r over 2 to the power of 2. And then we're going to have q minus 3 to the power of 3. Let's cube it out. R squared over 4 equals over minus 27, cross multiply, minus 27 r squared equals 4 q cubed, bring over to 27 r squared. Lads, very difficult ending. Very few people would say, if you haven't seen them before, you're not really going to be getting them out too often, okay? Tough question. Sorry, excuse me. Patrick. Excuse me. Right? This part here is 3x squared plus q equals 0. Right? Now, what it wants me to do is, it wants me to find the answer in terms of p. So what it says exactly is, express the roots of this equation in terms of p. This means that the q doesn't belong here. It wants the answer x equals p. You can't get p on its own if q is there. So you got to get rid of q. So you go down to your list and you go, okay, q is minus 3p squared. So you go in and you say, okay, 3x squared minus 3p squared equals 0. Take out 3, and what you're going to be left with is x squared minus p squared equals 0. 3 times a number is 0. That number therefore has to be 0. Then you do your factorization. X plus p, x minus p equals 0. And then you get x equals p, or x equals minus p. Once again, the only reason I knew how to do that was it says the roots is the letter in letter P. It mentions no other letter. That means Q has to be changed into P's. Okay, it's the only way to do it. Alright. No, x equals P or x equals minus P. Alright. Now, compute the standard deviation of ages and incomes for these employees. Now, what I can do is, I showed you before, we can just do them singly if we want. As in, I could do it the way I did earlier. But what I can also do is, I can do 2 variables if I want. So I can actually do them simultaneously. Okay, so we can do, look, 28, 30, what's it, 40, 55, 29, 45, and what happens after 45? 42, 55, 37, 39. Okay, over the other side, can you call them out for me as well, please? The other variable, income. Call it out. 24.
26.
Sorry, 26, 30, 48. Huh? 35,
38.
38,
32.
32,
53.
53,
40.
40,
44.
44. Okay, guys, be quiet here. What I want to do is compute the standard deviations only. Okay? So what I can do here is stats, go to variable, standard deviation of my x values, which is age. Standard deviation of age is 9.24. Okay? And using the same methods, standard deviations of age, standard deviation of age is 9.24. And the standard deviation of income is going to be 8.67. Now, 8.97. Now, what somebody else told me was, look, it's in thousands, so technically is it not 8,970? You're correct, but you're all right to keep it in the same units. Okay. Now, assuming that all employees remain within the company for 5 years and that each income is multiplied by 1.5 over that period, what will be the standard deviations and the incomes of 5 years from now? I told you this already, okay? Standard deviation is the measure of the gap between each one. If we add on 5 years to each one, the gap between them is still going to be the same. Like, right now this guy's 28, he's going to be 33, the other guy's going to be 35. They're still 2 years apart. The gap or the deviation remains the same. You can put it all into your calculator, add on 5 to each one, do it again, and what you'll find is the standard deviation of the age remains the same. Okay? Still 9.24. However, the income, look at it this way. If I multiply this by 1.5 and this one by 1.5, currently the gap is what? The gap between 24 and 26 is 2. I estimate that the gap will be 3 next time. We'll see. Or will it? Actually, it'd be bigger. Sorry. It's 36. Yeah? For the 36 for the 24. And 39 for the other one. So it is a gap of 3. So basically, guys, the spread or the distance between them is getting increased by 1.5. This means that the old standard deviation gets multiplied by 1.5 and it now turns into 13.45. And there was an example in your pre-tests exactly like it. Okay?